I always had a relatively whole system view of things. I was always interested in the conceptual, the level of the whole concept of a car. So some of the cars I did were quite radically different to racing cars, to any of the competitors that I was, which were all pretty generic.
Right.
I think the looking a long way ahead probably naturally comes just through common sense if you're looking at the big picture and you're looking about environmental issues. But also I did a fantastic 3 weeks, 1 week with a guy called Carl-Henrik Robert, who set up the Natural Step. And the Natural Step is all about helping organisations, whether it's companies or councils or whatever, moving step by step towards sustainable systems. And the end goal is something that's sustainable. It's not something that's a little bit better than what we do now, i.e. less unsustainable. So it was a big, long vision.
Right.
But he argues, and we have used it, I've used it ever since for 20 years, that if you're going to develop a strategy to address these issues, you cannot forecast from where you are now. You have to imagine the point you want to get to, and you strategize backwards from that. You backcast rather than forecast.
Right.
And I like to think of it as a tree with a whole lot of branches. If you start at the bottom, and you're aiming for the top, you want to do things that are better. And you can very easily go off on a branch, and you end up at a dead end, which is really bad news because you can't get to where you want to go, and you've got to write off all the investment you made in getting to the wrong place and start all over again. But if you backcast from the top of the tree, 50 years ahead, you can't fail to get to where you are now. Right. And you end up with a completely different strategy as a result.
So in the sense, what we're talking about is proper entrepreneurship, in the truest sense of the word. A lot of entrepreneurship now, and you must have given this an awful lot of thinking, because you're so involved in it, is so short-termist, these bedroom entrepreneurs, etc. How refreshing is it to hear that analogy?
It's really refreshing to hear this sort of viewpoint, and it's actually out there, it's echoed amongst a lot of people who are creating great businesses. There's a dominant narrative about the entrepreneur, the unicorn, the exit strategy,
right.
But that's possibly 1 in a billion sort of chance, so you might as well play lotto, whatever it is, But entrepreneurship as a field of inquiry, as a way of thinking, the entrepreneurial mindset, has a massive amount of value in reaching the top of the tree.
Right.
So actually being able to create action and be able to take resources that are near to you and apply it and move forward, which is all sort of entrepreneurial skills, is required in terms of getting to the top of the tree. I've said something quite a lot to my students about, I say it quite often, is the idea that we're agnostic to revenue. So we don't mind where you get funded from. If you want to be the garage startup that exits for 5 billion, be that. But if you want to go out and create an NGO that's funded through the UN or through government, go and be that. The entrepreneurial mindset allows you to do anything on that spectrum. We at Exeter take a sort of concerted effort that we want entrepreneurship for all, and we want entrepreneurship to do good, and that good for us is the circular economy.